friends, welcome to Daily News Analysis on The Hindu by Daily Shots. In this video, we are going to deal with topics from editorial, international, and business pages on UPSC and TNPC perspective, and other relevant articles are explained and shared in the below description box in the format of a PDF. And the relevant timestamping had been provided to navigate to the relevant news article directly. So now let's go into the session. The role of palliative care. In this article, the author explains the method called palliative care in the medical treatment method, where it is named as a whole person method approach to improve the health of any patients. So the author explains the palliative care as the part and parcel of treatment for any patient for any disease of with without any age restrictions at any stage. So, as per the saying of the 16th century, the duty of every physician is to cure sometimes, to relieve often, to comfort always. So, palliative is to alleviate pain, physical, emotional, meaning, relief of suffering. Suffering literally means a state of undergoing pain, distress, or hardship. So, this pandemic, the COVID 19, is leading to a serious psychological disturbance for many of the people. So, with the sole aim of improving the quality of life, this palliative medicine is being adjudged, and it becomes beneficial when started early in the disease trajectory. So, it acts as an extra layer of support for the patient's need to alleviate suffering alongside the disease treatment, even in the acute illness category. So, it needed right from the time of diagnosis, during treatment of diagnosis, or when treatment does not help anymore to cure. So, the symptoms like pain, breathing difficulty, restlessness, and others can be well relieved by using this method. So, the usage of antidepressant is very rarely used, and maintaining hope are the basic and the most basic aspect of this communication skills. So, as the conclusion and way forward, the palliative care should be a reinstatement of the human aspects of medical care and is complementary to all medical specialties. Pathways to a more resilient economy. So, as the headline says, the author prescribes some of the best wisdom centric solutions to the more resilient economy, that is, a more flexible economy. So basically, humans are sophisticated machines which is conscious about the new concepts, ideas, scientific notions, and developing of learning of new languages, etc. But there is an inertia of reforms of ideas, which is fundamental, and the institution in human societies are always difficult. So if anything has to be changed, so unless or until a crisis happens, it doesn't move beyond that. So here the author prescribes seven radical ideas emerging as the pathways to build a more flexible economy and a more just society. The first point he says is degrowth, a call on economists to think the fundamentals of economics, especially the purpose of GDP. So he asked the most important wisdom-centric questions like the goals for human progress must be reset, like what should we aspire for and how will we measure if we are getting there. And the second point, boundaries between countries are good. So removing boundaries is a good for global growth. So according to the systems theory, he says subsystems within the complex systems must have boundaries around them. For example, he states World Trade Organization, where the organization says that the boundaries across the border should be open for free trades. So it insists that boundaries in some extent is positive in nature. The third point he says is the government is good, which means even the capitalist corporation in the current situation is lining up for the government's bailouts. And the fourth point, the market is not the best solution. The marketization of economies has contributed to the increment inequalities in wealth over the last 50 years. Fifth point, citizens' welfare and not consumers. Welfare must be the objective of the progress. So basically, he explains the difference between the citizens and the consumers. So the citizens' needs cannot be fulfilled merely by enabling them to consume more goods and services, because he says they value justice, dignity, and societal harmony too. Competition must be restrained, which is the sixth point he says, which means a blind faith in competition misses the reality that human capabilities uh, have advanced, which is more advanced than the other species. So a collaboration between among the species is the required action. So by evolving the institution for collaborative action is the step which he is emphasizing. The last point, which is the sustainable development goals. Example, requiring the collaboration among the scientists from different sectors and disciplines and diverse stakeholders and sovereign countries. So, as a way forward, improvement in abilities to share and govern common resources essential for the human survival in this current 21st century. And the intellectual property belongs to the public, which means that in before times there is a consumption that uh, more land, which means more power. But now in the present condition, if we have more knowledge and more uh, wisdom, it is the most important power and wealth. So the problems, he says, the author says that there may be resistance to the shifts in social, economic, and political power. So this COVID-19 has posed the structural weakness in the global economy, which needs some redesigning. While the global attention understandably is focused on relief and recovery, but the author emphasizes and pushes the need to design for more resilient framework. But he explains in the way like the redesigning means not trade experts recommending new trade policies, like intellectual property experts recommend reforms for IP rights and industrial experts recommending for industrial policies. He says that all the pieces must fit together. So, as a solution, he says the redesigning of economies and business and our lives must begin with questions about purpose. So, what is the purpose of economic growth? What is the purpose of business and other institutions? What is the purpose of our life? And at last, what needs and whose needs do institution and each of us fulfill by our existence? So, these are the serious questions which the author poses in this article. Getting over pandemic stage fright. So this author explains how this pandemic fear can be get ridden off. So as per the reports, he says that 1 in 15 SARS-CoV-2 infected individuals in the national capital region is a healthcare worker. So the correct understanding of the nature of the disease and the acknowledging of community transmission would have saved the medical professions and avoided a loss of life. So, what is community transmission basically? So, one infected person in the community, unaware that he is infected, infects others in the community. For every other country, the initial infection would be imported from another country. So, but what basically importation means is that traveler got the infected in a foreign country but developed the symptoms and got diagnosed in the host country. So, if the second transmission occurs from the imported infection person, it is qualified as the contact of imported case. And subsequently, if the importation contact further infects us and who further infects someone in the host country itself, this becomes the community transmission and becomes an indigenous infection. So, it indicates the start of in-country epidemic. So, as the epidemic advances, the community transmission is natural and inevitable. If the intention is to intercept a chains or break the chains of transmission, then there should be acknowledgement of the community transmission. So that's what the author emphasizes, that there needs to be the courageous decision to acknowledge the community transmission. So, as a necessary step, he says a strong recommendation for strict implementation of protective gears by all health professionals in all health levels is required. And admitting the community transmission, he says, does not lower the honor of Mother India in eyes of foreigners, and it actually boosts the sagging morale of healthcare professionals. And this would have prevented much human lives and the medical staff's lives. So, and at last, it preserves the integrity of the entire healthcare system. So, such a courageous step should be taken in, and with will be taken with the openness only enhances the national prestige. So, once this transmission is acknowledged, it enhances the national prestige. The mark of zero. This article explains how Kerala had outperformed in fighting this pandemic while comparing with the other states. So the fatality rate of Kerala is 0.6 percentage against the national average of 3.3 percentage. So the preventive measures which Kerala used was the early shutdown before the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus as pandemic. It had shut down all educational institutions and entertainment centers, banned large gatherings, and appealed to people to avoid visiting religious places. And basically, this state has a very good healthcare system and infrastructure in place, down to the primary healthcare centers. And also, the manner in which it flowed textbooks, epidemiology protocols was outperforming. And the political leadership and the close and complete involvement of the government at all levels with bureaucracy and local community has taken advantage. And the different health seeking behaviors and high literacy too have played a pivotal role in war against the virus. So this also provides a reason why other states, even if they copy the measure adopted by Kerala to fight this problem, may not be able to achieve the same level of success. Boost wages to stimulate India's growth. So, in this article, the author explains the way in which the migrant laborers and the casual workers' wages could be improved or increased in order to encourage India's growth. So, there needs to be a development model, not to be city centric, uh, mostly concentrated on big cities, but also to be concentrated upon the development like the improvement in wages of the poor and the casual laborers. So, out of 471.5 millions of the total India's casual labor workers, 12.3 percentage are receiving social security in some or the other ways. And mostly these people belong to the informal casual workers. So, according to the 2011 census, 54.3 million persons, workers as well as non-workers in the country who migrate from one state to the other. So the states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh accounts 48.9% of the interstate migration, which is higher than the combined share in India's population of 36.8%. So this problem of migration from rural to urban in search of works has decreased the agricultural and allied activities in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh, and it had fell to 49.1% in 2018 from 64.1% in 2005. So technically, with the statistics 2005 and 2018, between these years, the 19.3 million persons left agricultural works in these four states alone, and they have moved in search of other job opportunities elsewhere. And their livelihood, like the drivers, factory workers, security guards, and other domestic helpers, where this work had become directly or indirectly linked to other economic activities, which caters the demand from other different industries. So, on part of the consumption, 5% of the rich people consumes about 64.4% of the durable goods as per the expenditure survey for 2011 and 12, and the 50% poor who consumes only 13.4% of the durable goods. So, as the statistic a measure to be taken to overcome this crisis by widening the source of demand, by raising the consumption of and investment for the poor, by boosting farmers' income, reducing food spoilage, create rural employment, and above all these things, improve the availability of nutritious food to the society. And also, in hand, the firm should assist in raising workers' wages, as this will create a huge demand in the uh, of enlarging the size of markets, which in turn will increase uh, the large demand of the firms to utilize their capacities even more better. So, increasing spending in economy in areas such as infrastructure and innovation, and the uplifting of worker skill as well as their incomes and purchasing power is the way ahead which is required in the current situation. And also investment in healthcare, education, roads, rural infrastructure, agricultural research and public transport is in need of the hour. The case for a gradual exit. So this article explains the strategical approach for the gradual exit using two of the strategy of mitigation and suppression. What is mitigation? It reduces the number of infected person and protect the most vulnerable. And the measures described under suppressions are more or less what we have come to be called as a lockdown, but to be included, but it does not include complete shutdown of work. So the vaccine production time will last for around 12 to 18 months. To make it available, it takes 12 to 18 months. So in order to be effective, lockdowns need to be also to be in place for another 12 to 18 months. As per the Indian Labour Organization, the International Labour Organization, 50 percentage of the world's labor force are in danger of losing their jobs, as per their report. So for this COVID-19, around 60 to 70 percentage of the population needs to have the antibodies for the herd effect to occur. That means for the herd immunity to develop, around 60 to 70 percentage of the populations need to have the antibodies. So the number of deaths can be brought below 1% if we protect the most vulnerable, which is easier than locking down the entire population, is what the authors suggest. So the lockdowns also result in a very large number of deaths. So these are the negatives of the lockdowns, and also the pandemic will end much sooner than 2 years if the herd community occurs. So there are also not reliable data of the infected and the diseased person. So a gradual exit using the mitigation measures will save the greatest number of lives. So the critics for this strategy is that no test is foolproof, and the small section of the population, the antibodies response may be transient, which means that the small section of the population may have the antibodies and its response may be transient, wherein like it may not last for much long amount of time. So with respect to the vaccines and the antibodies, vaccines can be preferred because the milder infection which they induce have a far lower mortality and morbidity than the natural infections. So example, SARS-CoV-2 is able to induce protective antibody production in humans, which comes from the observation that most people get rid of the virus without the help of any medicines. So the way forward, we need to look as the effective complete lockdown, which requires physical distancing at this level, is not possible in India, and this creates a problem much worse for the poor section of the society. So the mitigation measure, taking the people into confidence and facing the pandemic by deploying available resources in the best possible way, is the ethical and effective response. It's time for a virtual judiciary. So in this article, the author describes the need for video conference and the use of technology in the judicial actions. As per the economic survey of 2019 and 20, which dictates a special chapter to pendency of tax cases and revenue cases. So the survey mistakenly argues that there is a requirement of more court infrastructure and judges to solve the problem. But contrary to this, the existing infrastructure is grossly underutilized. The income tax tribunal that functions only half day most of the time. Along with that, the judges are not accountable for efficiency and performance. And also, backing that, the legal costs are high and legal procedures are complicated for the litigants who are filing the cases. And there is a misfortune for the court system that the lawyers on both sides need to be physically present in the court. So the solution what the author says is that the judge can be mailed the all the relevant papers via mail, and he can decide upon the all with all the available information, and he can consider the clarification and send those through mail as well as the draft to both the parties, and final decision will be taken which enhances the quality of the judgment and also eliminate the obvious errors. So in terms of efficiency, it saves on the cost, but also leads to a speedy disposal of cases, which increases the productivity of lawyers, and the reduction in long waiting hours of the lawyers as well is being removed. So in this case, it empowers all the judges to handle any case wherever it originates. So this leads to a better utilization of manpower and infrastructure, and this also reduces and keeps a check on the malpractices, which will be uh, which will be limited, as the familiarity between the lawyers and judges in the city is no longer uh, is obvious. And if vested interests are kept aside and collective will to initiate what is for the common good takes precedence, virtual judiciary can become a part of our lives. Pfizer and BioNTech, which is a US-based company with partnership with German, is delivering doses of for the coronavirus as a vaccine, which is in initial experimental stage on human testing in the country of US. The uses of messenger RNA, which is represented as mRNA technology, has the potential to become the first vaccine against the virus. So, after getting the approval from the US Food and Drug Administration, the company told it could produce 20 million doses by the end of the year 2020. And basically, the synthetic mRNA technology enables a vaccine to be developed and manufactured quickly than the traditional vaccines. So, the trial had been expanded to more subjects after the research determined which compounds and dosing regimens are most effective. Long March 5B, a new rocket and prototype spacecraft of China, is in the major test of country's ambitious project to operate a permanent space station and to send astronauts to the moon. So the Long March 5B rocket took off from Wenchang, a launch site in southern island of Hainan. 8 minutes later, an unmanned prototype spaceship successfully separated and entered the plant orbit, and the tested version of a cargo return capsule also separated from the rocket. So, as per the China's plan, the spaceship will one day transport astronauts to the space station, and it will be completed. The project will be completed by 2022, and eventually this will take the astronauts to the moon. It will have a capacity of the crew of 6 members. The maiden flight of 54-meter long, and which has a takeoff mass of about 849 tons. So this, as per the report, says the new spaceship will give China an advantage in the area of human spaceflight over Japan and Europe. And the China plans to send an astronaut to the moon in about a decade, and then build a base there. Amid high inflation, Iran to get a new currency. So this article describes about the new currency which had been initiated for production in the country of Iran. So the Iran Parliament authorized the replacement of rial with other basic unit of currency called toman. So this toman will be a worth of 10,000 rials under the new system. Since 2018, Trump's administration rejected the nuclear agreement and had reimposed the sanctions on Iran on various strategies, and the value of Iran's currency by then had fallen by roughly 60%. So this change is the outcome of the draft bill presented in early 2019 by the governor of Iran Central Bank. So the major move for this is the reason that the currency has been devalued 3,500 times since 1971, and that Iran had no other choice but to save the face of its national currency. But additionally, as the negative side, the expense had been increased for the government, as already it faces a budget deficit of 30 to 50 percentage for this forthcoming fiscal year. The changing of the national currency is the last stage of economic overhauling, as it is being found in European countries which had adopted during the end of Second World War and Turkey in the recent years. But the Iran government has done the opposite because of the crippling effect of US sanctions, and the sanctions which limited the country's ability to sell oil or to conduct international financial transactions. So the government is in financial bind with no prospect of financial aid coming from inside or from outside. So it had made a move to try this method. Thank you, friends, for watching. That's all from today's daily news analysis. The relevant fact check points had been added in the last page of the PDF. So give me a thumbs up if you like the video and subscribe to my channel.